Okay, everybody, want to welcome you to today's Wednesday webinar. This is Scott Clayson with TimeSolv. It is the top of the hour, straight up noon here, Central Time Zone, where I'm at in Minneapolis. We will get started in another minute or so as we let stragglers get into the meeting. So you do have the opportunity, as always, to grab that glass of water, your lunch, whatever it may be, and I will jump back in 1 minute. Thank you. Okay, I think we are just about ready to roll. I think everyone has gotten here that is going to be here. So once again, welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. Again, this is Scott Clayson. I'm the Director of Marketing here at TimeSolv, and this is our monthly get-together where we take a look at the tips and tricks to get the most out of your TimeSolv account. I want to welcome everybody who is joining us. I don't know where you all happen to be located, but I don't know, here in Minneapolis at least, all of a sudden fall dropped like a rock yesterday. We went from about 90 degrees Sunday to yesterday, I think we were like 40, I think 50, 52 was the high. So we're not like Denver, which got it pretty bad with the temperature drop, but it was quite a shock to the system. So we're hunkered down. I got my hoodie sweatshirt on for the first time here doing the webinar in quite a long time. So I want to welcome you all again. For those of you who have not sat in on our webinar previously, what we like to do is go over the previous month's tip of the week topics. If you're an administrator or firm owner of your TimeSolv account, we generally send out every Monday a tip of the week email. And yes, there was an email that did not go out yesterday. Our normal person who sends out those emails is on vacation this week, and in catching up from the long Labor Day weekend, we did not send out a tip of the week this particular week. But this is the occasion where you can learn or see kind of in motion what you read about in the tip of the week. So we can get a little bit more in depth. This is a combination of highlighting new features that we have rolled out in TimeSolv, along with some of the, I don't want to say golden oldie, but important features that you may not have been aware of in TimeSolv since you first got trained because you may not use it. And just kind of one of those, hey, let's get in and take a look at some things that you just may not have known the application could do. So we'll get to some of those this week as well. I realized I believe I was muted there. So I did a really nice long welcome intro, and I think I was muted during all of that. So I want to welcome everybody to the webinar. I apologize there. Looks like I'm getting some chat. Oh, you did hear me. Oh, good. Okay. Thank you, Crystal. I don't want to repeat myself. I got a message from my webinar saying that I was muted still. So, okay. I will move on now. Let's talk about our topics for the week. You can tell it's still, I'm getting the cobwebs out from the long weekend. Okay, so we're going to cover a couple of different, we're going to have 5 different topics we want to discuss here today. Shouldn't take more than about 45 minutes at the most. We can have questions generally as we get done with a topic. I'll ask if there's going to be any questions. You can put that in the question and answer session or the chat icon. Really doesn't matter which one you put it in, and we'll try to answer those. Everyone is on mute as we know. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about a couple of new features. The first four really are new features that were introduced in the last couple of weeks. The first one is just a slight tweak, and I think an important tweak, however, in the payment history report that you can run to make it a little bit more refined, make it easier to find the information you're looking for in determining who's paid you and who hasn't. Then the second thing that we are going to discuss is when you're looking at a draft invoice and specifically editing a draft invoice, we've tweaked a bit how you can update or edit the address information that will be placed on the invoice, and how that, more importantly, how that affects the original contact information that you have for that client and matter. Then I want to highlight a pretty cool new feature, which I think is super powerful and will be super useful for a lot of administrators of the TimeSolv account, and that is an audit log. So especially for firms that have 7, 8, 9, 10, however many users, and you need to know like who's done what in TimeSolv. If there's some discrepancy that comes up, you want to be able to know like, well, who made that darn change? Who updated that time entry? Who did that stuff? So we have an audit log now that's in beta currently that will give you all sorts of filters you can use to find that type of information that you need. And one thing that's also really nice is you can download that audit log into an Excel file as well. Okay, our fourth topic then will be, we added the ability to create a second tax that can be applied to an invoice. Or if you don't have to call it a tax, you could call it an admin fee or whatever the case may be. This is super useful, I know, for our Canadian friends who oftentimes have to add a second provincial tax or VAT, value-added tax, to their invoices along with a normal tax. A national federal tax that they have. But you can, it's basically more than anything, it creates the flexibility to add multiple percentage increases to the invoice based on your needs. So I will show you where you can apply that and how it can be put on an invoice. And then the last one is an oldie but a goodie. When I ask our sales and our support team, like, hey, what are some tip of the week topics that you think would be important to hit? Inevitably, I get two main answers. One is how to manage contacts in TimeSolv, because it can get a little confusing. And the second one is payment allocations. You all would be surprised on the number of firms that never record in payments in TimeSolv or in the system to be able to know what invoices have been paid. And even if they do record the payments, they don't necessarily allocate the payments to specific invoices. So a lot of firms may have no idea if an invoice has actually been paid or not. And to me, that's one of the fundamental reasons why you'd want TimeSolv, is not just the creating and sending of the invoices, but knowing, well, who's paid me and who still owes me money, more importantly. So we'll cover that briefly near the end. So that is our topics for the day. So let's get moving right now into the first topic, excuse me, which is a tweak we made to our payment history report. So let me back up first and remind everyone that we created categories that you could classify your clients and matters. If you go under clients and matters and settings, and you go under categories here, and you can see the various categories: bankruptcy law, criminal law, and so on. We also have billing categories that you could create when it comes to creating your draft invoices based on the grouping that you've assigned to clients and matters. Well, now under our reports, in our payment history report, you can now use that billing category to filter the reports. So you could show me a payment history of all clients that I've designated as quarterly billing clients who also are designated as family law category, and then run that report. So again, it's really nice for firms who want to see a payment history in whatever category suits your firm best. So again, let me back this up, that The categories can be found under clients and settings and under billing categories, and you can create as many categories as you like and call them whatever you'd like. Then you can apply multiple categories to a client or a matter. So if I go under estate plan here, this is the matter. I can go under the invoice settings is where you can apply that category. Here's billing category, and I can apply as many categories as I want to that particular matter. You can also do it at the client level as well. So you can, same thing, I'm at the client level here, Aretha, I'm in invoice settings, and this is where I can specify the billing category. Obviously, if you apply the billing category at the client level, whenever you create a new matter, it will adopt whatever you have set at the client level, okay? Or you could do, as you saw, and at each individual matter, apply a particular billing category. But then you can run a payment report, payment history report by this billing category. Everybody who I bill quarterly, you know, what payments have been recorded, that sort of thing. So nice, another new filter to allow you to get the information that you want relatively easily. Questions on that feature? Okay. I don't know about you all, but it's a pet peeve of mine when I'm in webinars or I'm in meetings and people ask, you know, does anybody have any questions? And then whoever says that waits like 2 seconds before moving on. Hey, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, well, it's like, no, you have to, maybe it comes, I used to be a school teacher and I purposely would put a long, long pause when I would ask that. Does anybody have any questions? Well, you know, people have to think about that. So anyway, not to get too sidetracked here. Okay, let's talk about a modification we made when viewing draft invoices and how you can edit the address of where the invoice is going to be sent. So I'm going to go under Invoices to Drafts, and I'm going to create a new draft invoice. I think it was Kaplan that I did one on. I think it was a new Kaplan and Friends. And I'm going to hit Create. Oh, no draft invoice created. Okay, let's just go back to my, actually no, let's just cancel this and just go back under my drafts to see the ones that I already created. So let's just say we have a mirror here test matter. And if I click on the amount, of course, this is where I can go in and I can edit all the variety of things within that particular draft, including the address. I'm going to go to the addresses here. And you can see that right now I have set Joe Blow, and this is the address here, and this is the email that this invoice is going to be sent to. If I click on edit address, if for some reason I need to change anything here, there's several things that you can do. You can copy the information that's already available at the client level or the matter level if you've changed it over there after you created this draft. Or you can make the change here, like let's say you need to change the email address to something different. And you can just save it here, or you can click here to update the original contact as well. So that'll update it over at the matter or client level, wherever you happen to have this contact. Okay, so that's a little bit of a change. There was I think some confusion in how you could do that previously and bringing over, you could update it here, but it was creating new contacts, and so you had duplicates, and there was issues. So this makes it much easier if you have to edit information here at the draft level. You can update the original contact by checking this box, or leave it be if maybe this is a one-off kind of thing. Or you can also, if you've updated information after you created the draft, you can copy it over from the client and from the matter. Okay. So you can see I copied from the client, and notice it changed the email back to the original email I had. Okay, questions on that? On editing the draft invoice address? Okay, very good. let's move on then to our next topic, and that is the audit log. And again, if you're a TimeSolv administrator for a relatively large, for a firm or a business that has a relatively large number of users, you might find this to be gold if you haven't found it already. So if you go under account to audit log, you should see that in your under account settings. This now is a way to basically have a trail of everything that's happened in your TimeSolv account. And you can filter it in a variety of ways. So let's run through those filters. First of all, you can put whatever search criteria you want in here, and just like whether you're doing finding a client or matter or whatever the case may be, just have to type a few lines and hit enter, and it'll automatically grab whatever meets that criteria. You also have the ability, notice one of the columns here says application, and quite a few of these say web app. We're in the web application right now of TimeSolv. I'm in my browser, I'm on the web, I'm in Chrome. That's the application. But as you know, we have a variety of different types of applications. Now, this back office and developer account, I don't believe you're going to be seeing that. That's for me as an admin person here at TimeSolv. But client portal, for example, if you use the client portal and you allow users to come in and pay their bills, or I shouldn't say users, allow your clients to come in and pay their bills using LawPay, view invoices, whatever the case may be, and you want to see what's happened there, click client portal and hit search. And this will show me that yesterday, actually, Joe Blow was in the client portal and he did a variety of things, as you can see. He logged in successfully, he entered a payment. So again, if you use the client portal and you have somebody who calls you and says, oh, well, I couldn't get in, I couldn't record that payment, you can look them up here in the audit log and see what it is that they really tried to do. The mobile app, I don't believe I've done anything in the mobile app since we rolled this out. You can see the date criteria is from August 10th is when we rolled this out. But this would show you all activity that was done using our mobile app, using the Outlook add-in, QuickBook work, single sign-on, TimeSync. Then the web app, web services is, I believe, the OLB work that we do for firms. Most likely you're going to be using web app the most. And of course, you could just use all. And then you can sort this, of course, by the application. Now, here under type, you can see, well, what type of activity am I looking for? Time, and you can see the whole variety of options you have here. You could do an audit log based on the person. If you notice, I have only about 7 users in my account. These other names are people who have client portal access. So again, I could go look for a specific user, this Joe Blow, and see as a client portal user, what have they done? Or I could look in here as, one of my just regular, Mike Hagman is one of my guys. I don't have anything here for them. I'm going to go back to all. So I think that's important to be able to see the user who did what. And then obviously a lot of people are going to want to perhaps search the audit log based on viewing what's been done for a particular client or a particular specific matter. So I can hit search here and you can see back on August 12th, I deleted a milestone on an invoice for the Best Buy estate plan. Okay, so there's obviously a lot you can do to slice and dice this, but I think this is super powerful way if you ever you're not sure who's done what. Hey, who deleted that invoice? Who voided it out? Who recorded that payment? Whatever the case may be, now you have the ability to look that stuff up. And if you notice, if you click on this little, I created a draft invoice right here earlier today. If I click on that icon, it will take me to that specific edit that I had done. So it'll take you, exactly, if I updated client, I updated the client here. I did some stuff on it. So what does that mean? Well, it's going to take me right to the page where I made the edit. Question that came up, how far back will the audit log be available? Poonam, that's a super good question. I don't know. I haven't checked that. Just out of curiosity, let's go back to 219. I think it may be, let's go back and see, go back as far as I can here. I believe that August 8th that you saw was that was a month. But let's see, I'm going back, I'm in July right now, July 29th. Looks like I've gone back to July 27th. So let me double check that and let me double check with our support team and find out exactly how far back the audit log goes. I don't have the answer to that. Good question, Poonam. Any other questions about the audit log? Oh yes, I see it over in the chat. How long will this be in beta? Yeah, I believe everyone can see it right now. Yeah, I haven't been told. I think we're looking for some feedback from users who, to before we officially say it's out of beta. That's not an area I am. A lot of people don't. The developers don't discuss that with me, so I don't have a good answer. So a question: haven't seen any rate changes in the audit log. Only been able to see that in the time settings section. Okay, well that's good to know. That's the kind of feedback we'd like to hear, I think, is if there's like rate changes made, be able to view that in the audit log. So I would suggest putting that, Audrey, in the our suggestions portal, which I'll bring up at the end, where you can make that observation, and that'll help us in refining that. Any other questions about the audit log? Okay. Let's move on then and talk about now the ability to apply two taxes for a client in matter if you need to. And this is something that was asked for a lot of our international clients, but I think has use for a variety of cases where maybe it's beyond, like I said at the top, beyond maybe just a tax. Some firms may just do an overall admin fee of some sort that they add 4% onto every invoice as an administrative fee, whatever you want to do. But then you also have to do a sales tax because of where you live. So you need to you decide you want to do two types of taxes. So let me show you where you can set that up. When you go under account to your settings, there has always been one tax area in TimeSolv, but now in the general tab, we have two. And we just came up with a default label of tax and tax 2. You can change this label to say whatever it is you want it to say. So you could call this, Minnesota state tax, 6%. And you could call this admin fee 2%, let's say. And of course, you can put in your tax ID numbers. I know that's important for some firms as well over here. And we're going to hit save. And notice that the label now changes, and this will change everywhere you see this forevermore into whatever you decided this label is going to be. So once you've labeled these taxes the way you want them to look, where you actually set them up, like what the percent is going to be, just because I put 6% here, that's just part of the label. To apply or set up the percentages, you do it for both time and expenses. So you go under time to settings, and here you see the time and the label Minnesota state tax fee, and you could change that to 6, let's say, and the admin fee here, obviously you'd want to do the percentages that you have on your label in this case, though again, you don't have to have a label here. Client has leads front selected in the invoice delivery section. Oh, okay. So I'm not able to do that. That's interesting because of the leads format. I'll have to look into that, see if that's a bit of a bug, perhaps. And then you should be able to do it here over on the expense area, same thing. You have your expense tax, let's say it's 6%, and then I'm going to go ahead and say 2. And it has a leads issue. Obviously, I think there's something to do with leads format, and I have some particular clients setting up with a leads format that doesn't allow a secondary tax, which is something probably a lot of you don't need to worry too much about. So now that we've set these rates, if you will, to make sure you have to apply it individually to the clients that you want to apply it to. It doesn't by default apply it to everyone. There is no default setting of turning on the tax, but you do turn it on individually, go to clients and matters. And if I go to a particular, let's say we go to Burnett title. You'll notice it says that it's taxable. By default, it's going to look like this. Taxable status is nil. So you can do not taxable, taxable, taxable by task. Generally, the taxable is the way you're going to use it. It will show you the rate that you've set. If you need to override that setting, you check this box and then you can see this is now an editable field. Then it's a matter of when you create your draft invoices, and I think I have some time for Burnett. I can pull for Burnett title. Yeah, if we go to view this invoice, you can see it shows Minnesota state tax. So it shows the label and what the amount is here. This is why I like putting the percent that is going to be taxed in the label so that it's clear what percent they're being taxed. So let me back up and show you one other important component of this feature that I didn't mention at the top here. In the settings, when you set it up, you also have the ability to apply the secondary tax to the total once you've taxed it with the first one. So if you have a $100 invoice that you're taxing at 6%, so it becomes a $106 bill. If you check this box, this 2% would be added on to the 106, not the 100. So it would be a tax on the taxed amount, if that makes sense. Probably it should. It's fairly simple, I think, to understand. So that's you do have that flexibility. If you decide we're doing an admin fee on the invoice amount and what we're going to tax you, so it'll be 2% of $106 instead of 2% of $100, if that's what your invoice total is. Okay, so also by default in our billing template, it won't show the tax unless you turn it on. So let's go and make sure that we have that turned on. So under invoice and settings, we go to our flexible templates. I'm going to edit the flexible billing template here. When I go to main page, down here by default, this is turned off. Okay, and so it won't appear. And then you would just turn this on and show, and this ABM is the actual account business number that you could apply as well onto the invoice if needed. What I would suggest you do, because we know you're not going to necessarily apply the tax to every single client, is have a billing template that is your billing template with tax, let's say, and then make sure for whatever client or matter you need to turn this on for, not only do you set the taxable status as needed, but then in the invoice settings, make sure that you're choosing the billing template that will show the tax on the invoice. Questions on that? Will any time in the future be possible to add admin fee only on services and not expenses. I know we're doing work currently on applying discounts to only fees and not expenses. Actually, I just saw the development team just walked us through how that's going to appear this morning. The ability to do an admin fee only on like your fees and not your expenses. Let me ask about that. I feel like that's been discussed, but I'm not sure where that is on the roadmap. Like I said, in some ways, applying a discount to fees only is just the opposite of applying a tax to fees only. It's just one's taking a certain percent off and one's just adding a certain percent on. So let me double check that. I know it's been discussed. I know for a fact the discount one is coming soon, like within the next 3 weeks. Not sure about the admin fee part. Another good question. Okay, let's get to our last topic then for the day, and that is, as I like to say, an oldie but a goodie, and that is payment allocations. So again, it's critically important for any firm to know, of course, who's paid me, who hasn't for the specific invoices that I've sent out. And it's not a matter of just recording the payments that come in to your firm within TimeSolv, but it's taking those payments and allocating them to the invoices they're meant for so that you know if an invoice has been paid or not. It sounds simple, but again, there's a reason why this is I'm always being asked to go over payment allocations in these webinars. So let's make sure first we're comfortable with how we can record our payments. You can do it one of two places. Those of you who have sat in on this webinar multiple times know that I'm a huge advocate of using the sent invoice screen here as you're running accounts receivable. And it's easy to do by simply selecting a date range of invoices that you've sent and sorting those invoices by the balance that's due. So you click on it once, and it's going to show you first all of the paid invoices. Click on it a second time, and now it's going to sort all of the unpaid invoices by the highest amount down to the lowest amount. So not only are you seeing, okay, for my invoices I sent from July 1st to today, these are the ones that are paid, these are all my ones that are unpaid, but it'll even show you what's the biggest one that's unpaid. So I love this feature, and I think if you're not using it, it's a great way to see very quickly who owes me money for a particular time range that you set. So now let's say that the Clayson closing 2 matter did receive a payment, okay? So you can enter that payment by either going under payments to payments, or from this AR screen or this invoice sent screen, you can click on this dollar icon. And it's going to take me over to the payment screen, and it's going to pre-populate the amount. 4235 is going to pre-populate the client and matter, which is convenient. Then you select the payment type, payment method. If you have a credit card that you stored on file, which I've gone over in a previous webinar, it would automatically pull up credit card on file as the payment method, and then you could charge that credit card right here and be paid immediately. In this case, the check that came in, reference is generally the check number. So like, let's say 1087 is the check number. And I'm going to hit save. Now down here, the second part of our payments and credits screen, again, because I clicked on the dollar icon on the sent invoice, it pre-populates with the client and matter, and it's showing me all payments that are allocatable within the last 30 days. So in this case, it's just the payment I just recorded. And so I want to allocate that towards this specific invoice that I have for it. So I'm going to hit allocate. It's going to show me the invoice number, number 423, the payment amount, 4235, because that's the amount of available funds that I have. If you can include all matters for this client. Like I have another matter here, Clayson closing. for $513. I could say, because that one is older, that's from April, I could say allocate the oldest one first, which I am, and it allocates $130 to that, and then the remaining amount to this original one. I could say compute equal proportions, which is, in this case, you don't really need to do that. I'm going to turn this back off because I do want to allocate to just this particular invoice. So I have my payment amount that I want to allocate towards this invoice. In this case, it's the total. Now we know in a perfect world, it'd be this clean, but that oftentimes a client may pay you in chunks for an invoice and may not all be paid off at once, or they might write you one check for multiple invoices, which is in that case, you could then break it out and allocate money towards different invoices like I just showed you. So in this case, I'm just going to say, hey, allocate. It's going to walk through one more time, showing me the information, allocation date is today, and so on. Hit save. Now I have no more available funds that have come through, and there's nothing allocatable anymore. And if I go back to that sent invoice screen, and I have that same date range, and I do that same balance sorting, no longer is that Clayson, Clayson closing marked as unpaid. Instead, it's going to be down here in the paid column. Questions on that? Payment allocations. It's not just recording the payments in the system, it's allocating them towards the invoices, so you know what invoices have been paid and what invoices have not been paid. And all this stuff can be synced over into your QuickBooks. If you ever have questions on this, we do run a weekly webinar on payments that's specifically only about payments. I believe, let me go to, if you go to help.timesolv.com and you go to our weekly training link up here, you will see weekly payments training. It's every Tuesday at 2:30 Eastern time, every single week. You get trained on payments. That if you need one-on-one training on the payments part, you can always book a one-on-one session with our support as needed. You can go to online meeting here, and you can schedule a general meeting. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, then I will, as always, make sure to let you all know that if you do have suggestions like the one about the audit log and rate changes, go to our suggestions portal, timesolv.ideas.aha.io. And once you're there, I suggest you first do a search for your idea. To see if somebody has already, you can go right here, search suggestions, and you can see if somebody's already made that same suggestion. And if they have, then you can upvote it. And again, as I've mentioned before, our dev guys, our product managers, they come and look at this, and they will, as you can see, tell you these are planned features. These have already been done in SHIP. We're not going to implement these. This already exists. Maybe you just didn't know about it, that type of thing. So they're in here all the time, and they are looking at the upvotes to determine where should our development roadmap go. So I really emphasize that you leverage this. Okay. Anything else that could you all have questions on here before we wrap up? As always, I will send out a link to a recording of this so that you'll be able to watch it at your leisure, review it. We did have those couple of questions about how far back the audit log goes and what the schedule, if any, there is on being able to apply an admin fee / tax to services or fees only and not expenses. So I will have those two questions answered in the email that I send out to everybody. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody. I definitely appreciate the time. We will be back on October 14th will be our next Wednesday webinar. You should be able to register at that same location. The weekly training also has a link to our Wednesday webinars. So just click there and you'll be able to sign up again for this webinar. So I hope to see you all in October. Have a great rest of the month. Stay safe, stay healthy wherever you happen to be, and please let us know if you need any help with TimeSolv. Thanks everybody, appreciate it.